As we live in an extraordinary time of accelerated change, there's a massive challenge filled with unparalleled opportunities fused with uncertainty. Isog's purpose has now, more than ever, been significant. This 2021, a stronger cyber defense strategy is required to manage the onslaught of cyber threats and intrusion. We are at the era of constant re-engineering.
Launch. Full virtual. Copy. Secure.
As the guardians of cyberspace, let us be engaged, established, equipped, empowered. This October 8 to November 8, and join us in the longest cybersecurity campaign of the country. The longest cybersecurity campaign of the country is back this 2021. The great shift for this era needs Herculean efforts to pivot to the new enterprise reality. Together, let's secure the new Cybernorm. As we live in an extraordinary time of accelerated change, there's a massive challenge filled with unparalleled opportunities fused with uncertainty. Isog's purpose has now, more than ever, been significant. This 2021, a stronger cyber defense strategy is required to manage the onslaught of cyber threats and intrusion. We are at the era of constant re-engineering.
Launch. Full Virtual. Copy. Secure.
As the guardians of cyberspace, let us be engaged, established, equipped, empowered. This October 8 to November 8, and join us in the longest cybersecurity campaign of the country. The longest cybersecurity campaign of the country is back this 2021. The great shift for this era needs Herculean efforts to pivot to the new enterprise reality. Together, let's secure the new Cybernorm.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the last special webinar series of Isog I Am Secure 2021. A security leader must be envisioned as a leader integrator. They are viewed as change agents, cultural builders, transformers, and visionaries who needs to have a tactical pulse of the enterprise's security posture. They now need to move beyond compliance monitors and work towards shared risk ownership within the organization. With the growing challenges, how can one be constantly abreast of emerging security trends, while transcending learning to employees, organization, partners, and overall enterprise ecosystem? The daunting challenge for leadership is to protect the organization's digital assets and infrastructure while ensuring operations without interruption. But how are we going to sustain this? In this session, we will get insights from top security leaders and learn from them how they will engage, equip, and empower the cybersecurity community and establish a culture of cyber resilience. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. And the program will begin in a few minutes. Thank you.
As we live in an extraordinary time of accelerated change, there's a massive challenge filled with unparalleled opportunities fused with uncertainty. Isog's purpose has now, more than ever, been significant. This 2021, a stronger cyber defense strategy is required to manage the onslaught of cyber threats and intrusion. We are at the era of constant re-engineering.
Launch. Full burn. Copy. Secure.
As the guardians of cyberspace, let us be engaged, established, equipped, empowered. This October 8 to November 8, and join us in the longest cybersecurity campaign of the country. The longest cybersecurity campaign of the country is back this 2021. The great shift for this era needs Herculean efforts to pivot to the new enterprise reality. Together, let's secure the new Cybernorm.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the last special webinar series of Isog I Am Secure 2021. Before we begin, let us all honor the Philippine flag and sing the Philippine national anthem. Once again, a pleasant morning to everyone for staying. Thank you very much. And we do hope for your patience as we deal with our technical difficulties. We do assure you a very, very engaging webinar today. And in fact, we are honored to have today an inspirational leader who represented our country and became a finalist in one of the toughest high-stake games involving business and physical challenges, the Apprentice One Championship Edition. Aside from this achievement, he has a proven track record in the corporate arena and has been a former procurement consultant of Metro Manila Development Authority and World Bank, just to name a few. He is also an industry lecturer and associate professor who shares his knowledge about supply management. Known for strategy, project management, and organization building, let us all welcome Mr. Louis Sangala.
For reflections anymore, bro. It's time for action. I'm Louis Sangala. I'm an independent procurement consultant. In my 20s, I suffered from cancer and depression. As part of my recovery, I went back to martial arts and became one of the first mixed martial arts champions in the Philippines. So if you do have some challenges with Clint, like, being a bit extra with the influencer, just let me know. I am a survivor. I understand the journey of a fighter. I know what it takes to be a champion inside and outside the ring. These things that we're talking about should lead you
enhancements.
to... Our enhancements are... hold on. Will lead you to buy the one at home kit.
One.
Right. So these are all... We were talking about big ideas, but the task is actually very simple. We had to execute in delivering a product that is tangible, that is well put together, and that will excite our viewers. Hey, Monica, stop worrying about all these receipts. With Expedition, it's like having your own personal accountant. Oh, special delivery for Mr. Sitkidong.
Thank you very much.
Louis is a buzzer ninja.
The initial public offering.
Boom! That is correct. Well done, Louis.
I was literally split second behind him.
Send one teammate to swim 4 laps of different swimming strokes. Louis got the hips.
You got the hips? Let's do it. Yeah.
As a former professional athlete, I believe that if you set yourself on fire, people want to watch you burn because now you serve as the beacon of hope for everybody else. Chatri, remember when you were a struggling entrepreneur? Rejection after rejection after rejection. When you were at your lowest point and no one believed in you and your business, didn't you wish that you had someone who showed you the right direction and support to help you unleash the greatness in your business?
The Apprentice One Championship Edition.
To the distinguished leaders of the Information Security Officers Group, our Isog Summit Chairman and Vice President, Mr. Chito Jacinto, and to everyone in attendance today, good morning. Thank you for inviting me to be part of Isog's I Am Secure 2021. My name is Louis Sangalang, and I manage 2 startups. Kim King's Kitchen, a healthy meal prep business that pioneered the organic bone broth in the country, and Neovertis Consulting, which specializes in strategic sourcing and procurement services. At the height of the COVID-19 pandemic last year, I flew to Singapore to take part in The Apprentice, a business competition created by One Championship, the largest martial arts organization in Asia. As a finalist, I participated in 10 business challenges, one of which was a digital project that I led and is considered as the best business pitch of the competition to date. Our challenge was to create a digital solution for the post-pandemic tourism industry, powered by Everise, a global customer experience firm. Leveraging on my expertise in financial services specific to the insurance industry, our team decided to build an omni-channel application that enabled Everise to deliver digital travel insurance services for customers across different market segments. Our 4 core principles were to, number 1, help our customers understand travel insurance. Number 2, make it simple for them to avail and use insurance products. Number 3, provide easy, immediate, and accurate information on their policies. And number 4, create a positive customer experience to build brand equity and encourage repeat purchases. The Apprentice provided the tremendous opportunity to work with Everise and other global companies that utilize digital technology to lead in the respective industries and markets. Specific to the Everise challenge, the project gave me a better understanding and appreciation of how personal data can be utilized to precisely offer the right product or solution to target customers. More so, I realized why this information, along with the company's digital assets, should be highly protected. When I returned to the Philippines, I took home these key learnings in the hopes of applying them in the businesses that I managed. The COVID-19 pandemic accelerated digital consumption and the shift towards digital transformation across Southeast Asia. In 2020, 40 million new users joined the internet compared to 100 million between 2015 to 2019. The average time spent by Filipinos online for personal use peaked at 5.2 hours during the 2020 lockdown, the highest compared to Southeast Asia's average of 4.7 hours. 37% of Filipinos online were new digital service consumers. This behavior is anticipated to continue post-pandemic. Last year, the Philippines' internet economy stood resilient at 7 billion. With the higher utilization of digital technology, our country's economy is expected to grow to 28 billion by 2025. This will contribute 9% to Southeast Asia's gross merchandise value, a key measure of online business growth. Significant growth rates in the e-commerce and food delivery services are also anticipated, making Kim King's Kitchen and Neovertis Consulting perfectly positioned for exponential growth. For both companies, market leadership entails a fundamental understanding of why, how, when, and where employees, customers, and competitors are accessing and using information. I would like to humbly share with you the key learnings of our journey as we engage, equip, establish, and empower ourselves in the new Cybernorm. Engage. Make it easy, safe, and convenient for customers, partners, employees, and suppliers to consider and trust us. In Kim King's Kitchen, we have 3 main touchpoints. Social media, including word of mouth, where we generate awareness of our company, products, and services. Our online store, where orders are purchased and fulfilled, is our second main touchpoint. And third, mobile and chat, including email, where after sales concerns are addressed. Soon we will launch a mobile app that allows customers to track and monitor their personal fitness and wellness. We acknowledge that each of these touchpoints possess their own types and levels of cybersecurity risk. Therefore, part of our engagement is to assure our internal and external stakeholders that personal data or sensitive information is stored securely and will never be shared with third parties. Equip. Create a culture of cyber awareness and resiliency by transforming manual core processes for automated systems. When I joined Kim King's Kitchen, I discovered that some core processes in production and fulfillment were prone to human error due to manual interventions, while the risk of data leakage was also high due to unsecured files and documents that were stored in shared databases. These processes include the monitoring of daily meal plans, the production of meals and their respective variants, delivery of orders to different locations within Metro Manila, and reporting operational performance across business units. Specific to meal plans, for example, the exposure of personal health or medical information is a potential risk. As a startup, we face limited resources in building our own data management system. Therefore, we had to be more resourceful in choosing the right solutions for our requirements. This is where we discovered Airtable as a suitable, cost-efficient, and user-friendly solution. Initially, our business unit struggled with the adoption of the new system. However, a few months after the implementation, they realized the value and benefits of automation that resulted in operational improvements, which further allowed us to measure our team's actual performance versus targets. To reiterate, it is critical to establish the metrics and standards and to accurately measure our organizational performance and commercial success. When benchmarks are established, teams become more conscious of their actions, cautious of non-compliant practices, hesitate to access restricted information, and are more likely to protect company assets. In addition, these metrics and standards allow the company to operate at a predefined level of excellence that will help ensure business continuity and encourage immediate incident resolution. Empower. Leverage on technology to inform, educate, and enable our internal and external stakeholders. At Kim King's Kitchen, we pride ourselves with our expertise in providing bespoke nutrition and wellness programs for our esteemed clientele. For our customers, the ability to access, understand, and use their own personal information so that they can live their healthiest and happiest selves is at the very core of our mission to become an enabler of holistic fitness and wellness for Filipinos. This is why we are actively developing tools, such as our mobile fasting app, for clients to independently and intelligently manage themselves. As information becomes more democratized, Kim King's Kitchen will simply serve as a conduit to help our customers decide on the programs, products, or approaches that they think are best suited for their genetics, medical conditions, and lifestyles. In doing so, personal information is retained by our customers and the associated risks are significantly reduced or even eliminated. In the new Cybernorm, current cybersecurity threats such as scammers, malware, or password theft, for example, will continue to threaten organizations as new unforeseen threats emerge. For companies like Kim King's Kitchen and Neo Vertis Consulting that are not limited by brick and mortar stores, it is important to prioritize business continuity, incident response, and recovery activities, especially because of our company's dependence on fast, reliable, safe, and secure cyber connectivity. As security leaders, leading the new Cybernorm entails that, as we engage our stakeholders, we must use and encourage others to use sound judgment in the utilization of new and shiny technology that could be concealed risks or threats to our organizations. As we equip our teams, we must continually seek alternative and better solutions that fit our organizational requirements and offer value for money. As we establish our parameters and protocols, we must proactively train our staff and partners to raise the level of cybersecurity awareness and strengthen our employee cyber resilient behavior. And finally, as we empower others and make decisions that impact security, we must understand and acknowledge that keeping our organization secure is everyone's responsibility. This concludes my presentation today on leading in the new Cybernorm. Again, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Isog for inviting me to become part of your prestigious event. This is truly an honor and privilege. Congratulations to all of you and mabuhay po kayong lahat.
And there you go. And now let us all have in this segment Mr. Sanggalang and of course our 2021 Isog Summit Chairman and VP of Isog, Mr. Chito Jacinto, as they tackle how it is to be engaged, equipped, established, and empowered in this new cyber norm.
Good morning, Sir Chito. Good morning, everyone. Good morning,
Hi, good
Isog.
morning. Good morning, Louis. We're,
How are
we're
you, sir?
really happy to have you with us today, this
Thank you.
morning. At some point, I was actually very much interested in what you've been through in particular. And I understand that the focus that we've had was more on the 4 E's that you also discussed in your talk, okay? But can I just veer away a little bit? Okay, there's the first thing that I'd like to ask you, and it's something that's close to my heart and a frustration at the same time. May I ask, how did being a martial artist uh, give the drive and give the support that you needed in order to achieve what you have achieved?
Oh, wow. I wasn't prepared for that question, but
I'm sorry,
thank you for
but
the question, Sir
something
Chito.
yeah, I mean, it's something that I'm really, really interested to find out more about.
Yeah,
I hope you don't
it's
mind
okay.
that
It's okay.
question.
Not at all. I welcome the question, sir. I think that leaders, no, there's a trait of leaders called conscientiousness, and that what it also entails is a lot of discipline. No? So there are four other sub traits or qualities that build that particular trait on conscientiousness, and one of them is discipline. But the way to get to that level is to put in the work day in and day out. No, kasi if I may speak in Tagalog, no, kasi tayo, we are creatures of habit, no? And our character is actually built on the habits that we have. Kaya yung natutunan ko as an athlete, I was able to sort of adapt that or apply that to the work that I've done all through the years, no? Kasi from my perspective, if we want to be able to excel in something, whether that's procurement, whether that's information security, I think that we should not leave any stone unturned. No? So if you have a goal, we start first with the small stuff, then we build our way towards the bigger goals. And as an athlete, I think you should go through that particular journey. When I became a professional mixed martial artist and I started winning in my weight class, I did participate in the smaller tournaments as well, no-name tournaments and mga back alley na mga laban. So that's part of it. But along the way, you begin to structure yourself more and more. You build the resilience, and eventually you also build the structure around your regimen. And that is something that I have applied in my corporate professional life.
Wow, that's really something very interesting, and it actually gives me the thought that some things that may be difficult, all it needs is desire to actually accomplish them, right? There is one other thing. You're not just a martial artist in general, and I'd like to recognize the fact that you use the term athlete, because at this point you've also gone into different areas, different types of competitions, like triathlons, for example, or triathlete.
Yeah.
You're a triathlete, right?
Yes.
Am I right? Okay.
That is correct, sir.
As a triathlete, is there the difference between the preparation you needed to become a martial artist of a high caliber as compared to doing the things that you need to do as a triathlete?
Wow, another interesting question. In a nutshell, the disciplines are different. So what you need for example, in mixed martial arts is you need a lot of strength, high impact. Basically, it's high impact. And the difference between that and an endurance sport like triathlon is the way you train. So babalik po tayo ulit dun sa conscientiousness, attention to detail, discipline. Kasi when you lay out the training plan, for example, when you fight in a mixed martial arts competition, it's significantly different. A lot of explosive movements, a lot of strength and conditioning exercises. Whilst in triathlon, it's the mileage that counts. So you train slow to compete fast. That's what they always say. So you build the mileage over time, and that actually also builds your body to carry through the distances. At the same time, there are times that you have to be a bit more explosive because you're challenging yourself. You're actually competing against yourself more than you're competing with the others. It's the time, it's your best time that you are basically aiming for. So that is the main difference between both. While I do see that there are complementary activities, no, in general, po, sir, it's a totally different ball game. That's why I know a lot of triathletes, no, who have also very busy schedules, handle big businesses, and manage a lot of companies, who may not be physically strong, but they will outrun you for miles and miles. Grabe yung resilience nila, both mentally and physically.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, if I may relate this, going to our actual topic for today, how would being an athlete be preparation for how would I call it, for a leadership role? Because it prepares you as an individual to do things, but how did it prepare you for the role that you're playing as a leader?
I believe, Sir Chito, that in order for you to do something really well, especially if you want to be a leader, you have to be willing and you have to be able. That means that even if you are willing to do a job or a task at hand, you have to also be able to, to be equipped to do that. Because I find a lot of people wanting to do certain roles and activities, but they're not able to do so because they lack the training, they lack the knowledge. At the same time, even if you are a very adept or skilled performer, but you're not willing to do the task at hand, then nothing is basically going to happen, or your performance is forced. It works the same way, I think, when you are a leader, especially when you go into the field of procurement, for example. When we talk about being willing and able, I think the first thing you have to do is become self-aware. And that entails evaluating or assessing your strengths and weaknesses. Just like what you would do in an organization, in a procurement organization, you identify the strengths and weaknesses of your organization, a SWOT analysis basically, and you identify the risks and you try to plug the gaps in these risks, looking at the areas for improvement as well. So I think that in essence, the principles are basically the same. It's just the method of which or the practice of which may be different from person to person. So I hope that answers your question,
well,
sir.
Definitely it does. Because the thing that I'm most concerned with is there are people who reach pardon the term, I guess it's level of incompetence simply because they were not prepared. And that's the reason I was asking you this question, because to be an athlete, to be an effective athlete for that matter, preparation is key, first and foremost.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and if I'm just making an assumption, but since it's a key, it's the same thing that would actually lead you towards success, not just as an individual in your kind of line of work, whatever that is, but also as a leader specifically. And I think you've actually put that all in perspective. Now, let me ask you a particular question that has been, that I think others would like to hear about. What kind of a leader, having discussed what leadership and preparations, etc., should a Chief Information Security Officer, or CISO, which is actually our line of work, be in the new normal?
Okay. So I'll fire off in no particular order. So I mentioned earlier about self-awareness now, because self-awareness is essentially the starting point for self-leadership. And if you have self-leadership, you can essentially manage others as well, because you're able to manage yourself really well.
Right.
So I think that these traits are what make a great leader. But at the same time, you don't get to becoming self-aware if you don't have the humility. So that means that, again, you have to understand what risks you are or what gaps you're trying to address. In the new normal, what I think is very critical is the proactivity, or the what do you call this, the trait of being proactive within individual, because now we are we live in a world wherein we have to rely on cyberspace to be able to connect. No? It's not like, you know, you just pop into someone's room and say, hi, hello, I need this from you. Now you actually have to go out of your way to understand the technology, to engage people online, to be able to get their attentions online as well. That's very, very critical, because a lot of people don't pay attention anymore, especially if it's online. They tune out. And they become fatigued with all of these online meetings. So, you know, the proactive approach to communication should be there. I think you also have to understand what you're getting into. Some people I know, their businesses have not survived because they've refused, or they were very resilient to adapting to the new norm, to technology. They've been very resistant to technology, to applications, but that's the way of the world right now. But that's where we have to be very careful. You know, there's so many apps now that they look exciting. They're, like I mentioned, they're new and shiny, but a lot of people don't pay attention to what is written in the fine print, in the contracts whenever you sign the terms and agreement, terms and conditions in the agreement. So yun yung isang dapat nating bantayan. You know, the thoroughness, the due diligence that we should do. And I think the third one is that in the new normal, one of the things that I notice is that you have to put a lot more trust in your staff, in your partners, even in your customers and you know, your suppliers. What do I mean by this? The trust that we used to that we used to have in a corporate is because of the fact that we actually see the person. No, we are able to touch them, converse with them face to face. But now, when you're faced with a staff who will tell you that, you know, I need to work from home, and you know, you need something from that person, that becomes a bit more of a challenge. So the trust level within your team or within the networks that you operate should be strengthened all the more. And as a leader, that's one of your biggest challenges. How do you build the trust of your team, of your partners, and your suppliers? So those three, again, you know, proactively communicating, building trust, and the third one was I forget now, but slipped my mind. But the third one is I forget, sir. My apologies. Anyway,
No
point is, sorry, was that?
No worries.
Yeah. Sorry. My old age has gotten to me. If I remember, it will get back to me. But my brain thinks faster than I think I speak, or I think my mouth speaks faster than I think. So anyway, what is critical is that you are able to, again, define yourself really well in this environment. Oh, sorry, the adoption to technology. That's the second one. So being able to adopt the technology and understand the technology that you use. So these are the three things that I think are critical in the cyber norm.
Okay. Thank you very much for those answers, for what you've said. Alam mo kasi ang hirap, no? If we really look at it in the way, at the way things are going right now, if you listen to the news, you see that the government says, hey, we're improving, we're having less problems now with the pandemic, and there are lesser numbers of those who are infected. Yet again, what has happened, as you mentioned in your talk earlier, it's natural for Filipinos to actually adopt the what is current right now. And I do believe that the use of the internet, or doing online business and doing online ordering, even for the smallest thing like ordering food, is actually going to stay with us.
Yes.
It's something that's not going to go anytime soon, even after the pandemic. So how will this actually affect us? But then again, this is something that we'll just have to get a feel of. Now, having said all that, is there anything that you can share with us that you might want to give as maybe a reminder for everyone that in the new norm, hindi na marimang may pagbabagong dumating, pero yung pagbabagong ito at yung mga darating pang pagbabago, kailangan paghandaan natin. And let's say na dapat tayo ngayon nakahanda para dun sa mga potential threats that may affect us. Kasi from a security perspective, ito marami to as far as the cyber normal is concerned. So
Yes.
can you give us any tips insofar as managing not just our lives, but our work and our families and probably our businesses?
I think so first is on the thing that I would like to share is, a change of mindset. When I ran in the North Pole Marathon, I was stuck with a situation wherein my footwear started building up water because of the sweat. And what happened was, as the sweat was building up, my feet started to freeze. And because of that, I had to make a decision: should I keep on running or should I stop? And just the same in the situation we're in our current situation right now, I think the most important thing is to accept the unexpected. The unexpected has already happened, but I think that's the first thing. We have to accept the unexpected things that are already happening. So tanggapin natin na nandito na to. There are certain trends that are going to be here. Like people would still want to be doing remote work. Offices are closing, homes are becoming more technology enabled. Tapos yung mga tao ayaw na lumabas. Education is now a blended or online system. So the first thing is the acceptance, And the second thing is that when we think about this from a mindset point of view, one of my CEOs, one of my best mentors, actually told me that frustration is inspiration. And initially I didn't get it. And he said, the reason why frustration is inspiration is because it should both move you to action, regardless of how you feel. You feel inspired, you get to work. You feel frustrated, get to work. So I think that's coming from the mindset point of view. Now, if you look at it from a more siguro structured point of view, I think that everybody should have a schedule and a plan to do whatever they want to do. But measure yourself. So realistically measure yourself so that you don't get too frustrated that you want to stop doing stuff. Measure yourself in terms of the progress that you do, not necessarily just against the goals and the targets that you set. What do I mean by that? The principle of getting 1% or 1% better every day is, something that I believe in. So that at the end of the day, you're basically at the end of a year, you're 365% better. So that's the whole point. Measure yourself against the progress of the things that you do, not necessarily the targets you're trying to accomplish. Because if ang nature kasi ng mga tao is that I want to do this, I want to be able to, let's say, build a house, lose weight immediate, and they're not realistic about their goals. So if you measure yourself from where you were yesterday or where you were a couple of weeks ago, I think that's a more realistic metric. And if you do that and you can structure that in such a way that you have a plan, a daily schedule, you have your cost expenses, etc., then I think that is necessary, not just for the business but also for yourself. Having that kind of discipline will build your conscientiousness.
Yes. Thank you very much, Louis. That was really mind-opening. And you know what? If it were up to me, there's a lot of things I can ask about, probably not necessarily related to the topic that we have. And I hope you don't mind, but I'd like to say that your life actually is of great interest to me, because the things that you've been through, all the downs, all the ups, and the one thing I agree with, the one thing, if there's anything I really agree with in what I've heard about you, is the word survivor.
Wow, thanks so much.
I love reading about you regarding this matter, and I've actually been going through the different videos for the Apprentice series, and I really enjoyed hearing you speak and hearing you do things. Thank you very much for giving us a chance to listen to you. Thank you so much. Yes.
Sir Chito, likewise, I look forward to working actually with you. I am, as I mentioned, I'm also building a separate procurement startup aside from Kim King's Kitchen which I talked about earlier. So
Yes.
hopefully, maybe you can be one of our mentors. Procurement is quite a field wherein cyber security is quite important. It's very important actually.
Yes.
Maraming
Yes.
risks, no, pagdating sa suppliers, confidential information, contracts, etc.
Right.
But Sir Chito, I just noticed there's a question in the chat room or in the
Okay.
chat box. May I just acknowledge this question and answer this question if you don't mind?
Sure,
me
please
answering?
do. Please do.
So yeah, from Mr. Juan Adolfo, the question is, as you mentioned, the number of online users has increased dramatically. What would be the right approach and a good starting point for small businesses that have limited budget but would like to take advantage of transforming their business digitally and secure at the same time? Okay, I did mention this in my presentation. No? For smaller businesses or for startups, you may not have the luxury of financial and human resources to immediately build systems, databases, ERPs, and what have you, or hire really expensive technical people. So I think one of the things that you can do, Mr. Adolfo, is that you can start exploring the available applications online. Like kami we found Airtable, and it's paid through subscription basis, so that you don't have a lot of capital expenses up front. No. Especially if you want to build all these systems, if you're a tech-driven company. So I think that's the first thing that you should do, explore cheaper value for money alternatives. The second is that you can start collaborating with a lot of people who are like-minded as you. I stayed in procurement because I believe that transparent and purposive procurement is a key driver for nation building. That's actually one of the things I believe in. That's something that that's an original thought. No? So I think that if you're transparent with how we do procurement, talagang lilipad ang Pilipinas. No? Kasi we have a tremendous corruption issue. So I think these are the things that you have to think about. No, again, value for money applications and collaboration with like-minded people, because you'd be surprised. A lot of people are willing to help you, get started, get your business off the ground without really paying them a lot of money. Minsan nga they'll work for free if they believe in your mission and your vision.
Right.
So good luck and all the best to you, Mr. Adolfo.
Okay. Thank you very much again, Louis. By the way, there may be some other questions that we might not be able to answer now because of our,
Oh, sorry.
time constraints. But maybe if you're okay with this, we will be sending it to you and maybe we will just take note of your responses and then respond to them via email. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
I hope
I'd be more than
that
happy
would
to
be
do that, sir.
acceptable.
Again, thank you so much, Sir Chito, Isog,
you.
for the opportunity. And I look forward to working with you and collaborating with you very soon. Have a good day.
Sure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jacinto and Mr. Sangalang. That was indeed a great discussion. Thank you very much. Hope everyone got inspired and learned in this segment. All right, now before we proceed to the next part of our program, let us have a few minutes break.
As we live in an extraordinary time of accelerated change, there's a massive challenge filled with unparalleled opportunities fused with uncertainty. Isog's purpose has now, more than ever, been significant. This 2021, a stronger cyber defense strategy is required to manage the onslaught of cyber threats and intrusion. We are at the era of constant re-engineering.
Launch. Full virtual. Copy. Secure.
As the guardians of cyberspace, let us be engaged, established, equipped, empowered. This October 8 to November 8, and join us in the longest cybersecurity campaign of the country. The longest cybersecurity campaign of the country is back this 2021. The great shift for this era needs Herculean efforts to pivot to the new enterprise reality. Together, let's secure the new Cybernorm. As we live in an extraordinary time of accelerated change, there's a massive challenge filled with unparalleled opportunities fused with uncertainty. Isog's purpose has now, more than ever, been significant. This 2021, a stronger cyber defense strategy is required to manage the onslaught of cyber threats and intrusion. We are at the era of constant re-engineering.
Launch. Full virtual. Copy. Secure.
As the guardians of cyberspace, let us be engaged, established, equipped, empowered. This October 8 to November 8, and join us in the longest cybersecurity campaign of the country. The longest cybersecurity campaign of the country is back this 2021. The great shift for this era needs Herculean efforts to pivot to the new enterprise reality. Together, let's secure the new Cybernorm.
All right, now let us have again Mr. Chito Jacinto together, this time with our cyber leaders and experts. We are glad to have with us today Mr. Ryan T., Chairman of Cloud Security Alliance Philippines Chapter, Mr. Ian Lim, Field Chief Security Officer of Palo Alto, and Ms. Jolene Lim, Technology Consultant for Southeast Asia, NetWitness through M-Security.
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Ryan. Hi, Ian and Jolene.
How you
It's
doing?
good to have you here today. I'm really looking forward to a very interesting discussion this morning. So hopefully, please allow me to start off immediately by asking you one of the very first questions that I would like to raise in relation to what has been presented or what has been shown to us or shared with us by our speaker for today. As you may well know, Isog actually espouses 4 E's, and they are engage, equip, establish, and empower for cybersecurity leadership in the Philippines. Now, in order to keep pace with the changing security landscape, this is what actually keeps us going at this point in time. However, I'd like to ask you, from your own perspective, which among the 4 E's would require these cybersecurity leaders to have a better foothold of? Meaning, which one should they really fully develop with regard to technology that would lead towards a better protected digital assets? Okay, maybe I'd like to start off with Ian.
Sure. Hi, how are you doing? Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Cheetah.
Of course.
I mean, all 4 of those qualities are important, but if we're talking about technology, I'm focusing on the first 2, right? Engagement is key. I think that that you have to kind of engage in 3 parts. You have to engage your leaders, you have to engage your customers, and you have to engage your peers. You engage your leaders because you want to be seen as a business enabler. You don't want to deploy technology that's not relevant to the business, right? Security has kind of a bad rap over time of being the police, of the enterprise. No, you can't have, bring your own device, no this, no that, right? And so I think that the new mindset really, in bringing new technology, is to align with the business and to enable the business. So I think that's key. Secondly, again, in a similar vein, you've got to engage with your customers to know that what they want. And especially today, as we've talked about, and our previous speaker spoke about, we are living in a new norm where customers interact heavily with technology. Our employees interact heavily with technology. So, even from a security perspective, you've got to lean in and make your technology usable while making it highly secure. And then thirdly, you got to engage with your peers and your experts so that you're on the forefront, of both the innovation as well as the threat landscape, right? So that's engaged. Now, equip is key because we're oftentimes finding ourselves, bringing knives to a gunfight. Our last speaker was an MMA fighter, right? So, you're going to be outmatched. The hackers of today, they're so well funded thanks to Bitcoin, and going from 6,000 to 60,000. They're so well funded and they're highly capable. And we are stuck with legacy technology, very disparate point solutions. And it's difficult for our people, our team, to protect the organization if we're not giving them the right tools, right? So as leaders, we really have to equip our people with the right strategy and the right capability. At Palo Alto Networks, we believe that strategy is zero trust and the capability is built on the platform. And so equipping with the right strategy and the right capability is key. I definitely would love to hear what the other speakers think.
Okay. So thank you very much, Ian. May I ask Jolene to share your thoughts on this matter?
Sure. Thank you everyone, and thanks for having me. So, from my own personal perspective, I'm a believer of engaging the stakeholders and the board in any organization. So we need to make sure as security leaders, we need to make sure that we pave the road for our security teams to be able to do what they do best, and also to help each other, across different business units to understand perspective. Understanding, as what Mr. Yan has, rightly pointed out, and and it resonate really well, is that when we understand different units, different teams within an organization, the perspective that everyone's bring, it makes the cybersecurity journey much easier. People understand why, the security teams are putting the gates up, and we also, make sure that, the lives of our, business users are not harder than what it is today. So the other E that I really like a lot, it's empowering. So, we have a very good team of, or, every organizations have very good team of security folks that is protecting the organization, that is, they are good at what they are doing. So as security leaders, as say, for example, SOC managers, it is our job to take care of the people that, take care of the, business. So, I believe in empowering the, security teams, the, the analysts to be able to make, decisions, to be able to understand, and, be able to, respond to breaches, investigation at a much easier rate, or, faster rate as compared to if we do not empower them with the necessary information, data points, they are going to get a great setback from, stakeholders, from business users, from, spending much more time, when they are, doing important things, or, accelerating a lot of this investigation should they need it to be. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jolene. Now I'd like to move on to Ryan.
Yeah, hi, good morning.
Hi, Ryan.
For
Good to
having
have
me.
you here again.
Thank you.
Yes, please, your thoughts.
Well, I agree with my co-panelists with their thoughts here. Actually, I have the same thoughts. But I think the 4 E's of ISO is very good. It applies the concept of the people, process, and technology here. But most of the successful CISOs and leaders that I know always talk about communication. And I agree with Ian and Jolene that it's really about engaging your staff, your customers, your stakeholders, so that you can actually establish, buy the right equipments, and even empower the people. So it's very important to first engage and bring about these other 3 more E's into the discussion. And in our case, in Qualys, we've always built up a platform that we always wanted everyone to have a visibility type of concepts. People would have to know what they want to secure first. So that's where we are as a company. And from the CSA perspective, also it's more empowering to have cloud now. But still, you have to teach your stakeholders, your shareholders, and even your customers that these technologies would come with a lot of awareness, a lot of training and awareness, so that they could properly use it and of course take advantage. That's it for me. Thanks.
Good points. Good point. Considering that we have the 4 E's at this point in time, and maybe just keeping it at the back of our minds, one of the next questions, or rather the next question I'd like to ask is, what do you think are the key trends that organizations have adopted in this post-pandemic, well, at least, or will adopt at the very least, in a post-pandemic world?
I'll start off, Tito, if you don't mind.
Of course, please do. Please do.
It will be biased. I think the journey to the cloud is at its peak during the pandemic. Everybody's moving to the cloud. Everybody appreciate the scalability that it does, and of course, with so much flexibility and power, you need more responsibility to protect your users. So I think that's the adoption that we've always been telling, our industry for more than a decade. and it's happening. And I appreciate that we have, not that I work for college, but we have other companies really making sure that all those migrating to the cloud with this digital transformation is very much ready to protect them.
All right, great. I guess that's the whole point at this time. Practically, well, not really everything yet, but a lot of things are already on the cloud.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that, Ryan. Ian, can you give me your ideas regarding this matter?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Yeah, cloud is huge, right, for organizations. There are statistics that show that when you adopt, small businesses and large as well that adopt technology have a better return on investments. Given the pandemic, a lot of people were limited in terms of what they were able to do. Obviously the second trend is remote work, right? This borderless world that we now live in. Everybody working from home, and companies really rushing to deploy a large scale remote access capability, and oftentimes finding a lot of gaps because of how fast they had to kind of roll out those remote access capabilities. So we were definitely seeing a lot of companies basically re-evaluating their remote access strategy, not just for their workers, right? Because nowadays we lean on third parties, we lean on contractors, we lean on managed service providers to be in our environment, which is why I earlier noted that the concept has to be zero trust. While we let a lot of people into our environment, we need to kind of have a strategy to make sure that we're evaluating and validating all these connections continually. That continuous validation is one of the key pillars, of a zero trust strategy. And second to that is visibility. Like, you have to be able to see all those connections coming in, from a remote access perspective. Brian mentioned cloud. You have to be able to see, all the assets that you're building up in the cloud. You also have to be able to see all the capabilities on the on-premise. Yet another trend, IoT, smart devices coming up. You have to be able to see that in order to protect it.
Okay, thank you, Ian. And of course, Jolene, again, your thoughts on this matter, key trends that organizations may be adopting and probably will be adopting in the post-pandemic world.
So echoing the two, the very great points that Mr. Ryan and Mr. Ian has put across. So, as we are talking about remote workforce, I think if we, really were to look into, the last or maybe 2020 cybersecurity, attacks reports, or, ransomware continues to be the #1 top attack vector, for the plain reason that, this is not new. This is something that we have been living for the past 5-6 years, but, why is it, still happening, or, continues to be, at the top of the chart? In RSA, we believe that, if, coupled in this post-pandemic world, stress brings a lot of, when people are stressed, your employees, your workers are in stress, they are likely to make bad decisions, or, human error. So security breaches always comes with, such form of bad decisions and human errors. And, coupled with it, we have the IT's infrastructures, applications all moving out to the cloud, or even, we see organizations are, unplugging their on-premise data center for, to reduce a lot of this ownership costs. So, as we are looking at, you are having a bigger attack surface area, coupled with, team members that may not be, close to you geographically, or, that you are unable to reach out to them, via online methods, and sort of. So this is when, we are seeing organizations as they try to embrace new technologies, new way of working, they are also stuck with old technology. And, that brings a lot of complexity into their environment, and how, they are trying to, overcome this. So on top of, the way we are working these days, we are also seeing that, budgets, cybersecurity spending budgets are not, increasing at the rate where the challenges are increasing at. So as we are, as our data assets appreciates across the cloud, across the on-premise infrastructures, our budget is not increasing, fast enough to raise the gates, the protective gates up across the assets, to protect the assets that we are looking at these days. So these are some of the few, observations that we are seeing in the field from RSA.
Okay, thank you, Jolene. I think the best, how I would look at it is that the common point of reference is what's happening nowadays is that the people would actually be, not just people, but organizations would actually be adopting new things that would actually support work from home and the type of security that is not really centralized only, but rather something that would actually cover them in the endpoints, even as each individual works from home. Now, I guess the next question I'd like to start off with Jolene. Right now, with the tremendous growth in digital channels, which has actually been mentioned by our speaker earlier this morning, we are actually extending the digital connectivity beyond the workplace. Okay, and as we do that, can you please share how this increases the exposure to cyber attacks and threats, and then what are the things that organizations can do to identify and manage this particular risk?
Yeah, so in the last few points that we spoke about, it's all about your attack surface, it's getting larger. So we need a way to to be able to identify and manage the risk that such the larger attack surface area brings us. So we believe that engaging, it's the number one key point that security leaders should constantly and always do to engage the business users, the board, these key stakeholders within your whole that matters to your your security posture. So it is about getting all their buy-in so that the moment when they get the buy-in, you get the buy-in, you can see that your security projects, initiatives are moving at a much faster rate. So a second key point that thing that we believe in RSA is that we have zero trust and XDR, these jargons or buzzing in the industry these days, right? So there are great concepts that security leaders, security teams can look out to or look up to, should they need guidance on it. But we also have to keep in mind that they are great concepts, but it is not a point product, or it is not a fixed set of framework that from A to Z that the moment organizations adopt, they are free from threats. So the key to maintaining to be able to maintain certain level of situational awareness that such concepts bring us, and also as we are moving towards a zero trust state. So, if we like to see, it's that, zero trust and XDR is actually two sides of a coin. You have the zero trust that is allowing the good folks in, that is doing what, they should be doing and minimizing our trust surface, in the whole network. While you have the XDR that is very focused in, detecting the bad folks and monitoring them. So one is about never trust and trust people that that you don't know, and another one, it's always verifying before you let anyone in. So we think that those two concepts should work hand in hand together. In terms of the whole, if we look at holistically in the identifying and managing the risk in the organizations itself. Thank you.
Yes, you want to say something else, Jolene?
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jolene, for sharing those ideas with us. There was a keyword that I heard from what you said, and I think it's more like the speed of doing things, responding to what we have. I'll set that aside because there's a question that came up, but I'd like to move on to Ryan, because for him to be able to answer the same question. But I'll just park that a bit, Jolene. I'd like you to take a look to actually give me. I'd like to hear what the response to that would be. Okay, so Ryan, for the same question, yes, please.
Yeah.
Sorry.
To address, to be able to be more resilient, I think first and foremost, two things our leaders need to consider is to have visibility. And it's a good point that Julene said about talk about the attack surface. It is true. The organization is no longer on-prem or through VPNs, right? I think having a visibility of all your assets, whether it's in the cloud, on mobile, whether it's on containers, different platforms, you should have a way to be able to organize and assess all and have an inventory of all your assets. I think that's first and foremost, because you cannot decide on what to do if you're not equipped with the information, right? And another thing that you need to be equipped with is to be more proactive rather than reactive. Because now that you have all this visibility in front of you, you will now be able to take advantage. Because you know what? Hundreds, I think a lot of these ransomware attacks, which was mentioned earlier as well, it's caused by hundreds of CVE, missing patches that were just not being deployed properly on assets that are most of them are stale, that are left unmanaged in different sites. Like when the first WannaCry, the big news about the WannaCry ransomware came about, most of the targets were logistic companies where they have old operating systems still running, and that's really something that a lot of the CISOs have took notice and have started to improve their inventory and of course their remediation effort, and that's where the term mean time to remediate came about, right? So it's now MTTR stuff right now. So I think to be able to respond and to be resilient, visibility first, and change the mindset. Let's be more proactive.
Right. Being proactive and knowing what it is to do first.
Correct.
So, that's the key, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Ian, your turn, please.
Sure. Well, I go back to what we were saying earlier, right? In terms of how to deal with the challenges of today, it's zero trust plus platform. Okay, zero trust, as Ms. Jolene duly noted, is not a silver bullet. It's not a product. It's a strategy. It's a mindset, right? And the mindset basically comes down to this, right? Nothing inside or outside your network should be trusted. And any kind of implicit trust that you kind of, in your environment should definitely be questioned. So you need to build, as Ryan was saying, a visibility, but not only visibility, I'm going to add to that. You also need to build correlation, right? You need to be able to bring together all these different points and correlate them so that you have contextual information about your environment so that you can make a zero trust decision. All the security tools out there that you have are making trust decisions. They're making trust decisions on your behalf. Your authentication, right? You multi-factor authenticate in, it's making a trust decision. Okay, this person is two-factor in, it's good. But then what happens with implicit trust, and this is the difference between non-zero trust and zero trust, is that he's authenticated in, he's free to go wherever he wants now. That is not zero trust, right? Zero trust is you're authenticated in, fine. I'm still going to validate what is normal behavior for you and what is abnormal behavior for you, right? So while zero trust is that concept, you've got to build the capability. And why we espouse platform as the capability is due to the pain points that a lot of our security engineers and analysts are facing today, where they have to log on to like 15, 20, 30 different point solutions to figure out what's going on in their environment. That's a learning curve issue. That's an administrative overhead issue. That is a ROI issue. We'll talk about, Ms. Jolene talked about the cost of spend. It's not rising with the sophistication of our attacks, right? And our assets that we're protecting. So, platform brings that all together. right? Instead of having all to log on to this 5, 15, 20 different point solution, you log on to one solution that has all these capabilities, that's able to kind of stitch together, all the various events, bring it into a SOC interface that you can, at least do triage on. And then on top of that, bolt on a security orchestration and automation response capability so that you can free your people up to do important things and not the mundane security things. You can automate a lot of the mundaneness so that they're doing important things. So I think that zero trust definitely is a mindset that leaders should adopt. And yes, there are buzzwords surrounding it, but you just have to understand what it is, right? Strategy, I need to have that. Capabilities, how do I build now zero trust capabilities in my environment? And we highly recommend the platform bringing the disparate point solutions together so that you have not only better security, but better ROI and better resources that's freed up to do more important things.
Okay, well said. Thank you very much, Ian. I'll move on to the next question, and this time I would like to start again with Jolene, because this may have something to do with what she mentioned earlier. Jolene, you mentioned, and this is a keyword for me, the word speed. And I'd like to relate this to the word agility. Okay, now, how did your respective, I guess I'll generalize the question, how did your respective organizations address the requirements regarding agility insofar as the responses to the threats and to the risks are concerned? And as a follow-up, how were you able to scale at a faster rate the resolutions of your customers' challenges? Okay,
Yep.
Jolene, can
Thank
you start off?
Thank you for the question. So, as we are looking at speed of investigation, it's beyond a SLA that, security leaders are imposing on their teams. In fact, if we look at a bigger, schemes of thing, you have the regulatory body that is enforcing a certain SLA in terms of, investigation and breach response, some form of breach response or, findings that has to be formulated to the regulatory bodies. Should you be a, CII, you could be a bank, you could be, the powers and, energy. So, when we are talking about speed, when we are talking about speed, so, one key thing that, that actually talk about a lot, it's, pervasive visibility. So if I may quote, one interesting talk that I actually, watch on YouTube, it's, there is this guy, allow me to quote Rob Joyce, whom he is actually the former head of NSA that, does tailored access operations. Now, he actually did a talk in 2016 that is, his job every day, his job is to, make sure that, everything in terms of the offensive hacking within the NSA, it's, are all, handled by his team. So he actually shared, a quote that says that if you really want to protect your network, you really must know what is in your network, know your devices, know your security technologies that you are using and working with to accelerate your job. And if we really were to unpack his word, it's that, having the visibility to empower your analysts to make a fast, quick decision in the whole investigation process is the key. So, I used to be an analyst that, you might, in the day-to-day analyst work, it's already hard. Let's not make it harder for the security analysts to do their job, by presenting them, 3-4 different point solution, each holding a different set of data and asking them to try and correlate across their, across their, minds, how would that paint a bigger picture or a bigger incident picture, when they are investigating it. So, visibility, it's really important when we want to ensure speed in whatever that we do. and when we're talking about visibility, it is also talking about, you know, the business visibility that you empower or you equip your analysts with. So say, for example, if the analyst is doing an investigation, you know, is the analyst empowered to know that, you know, whatever that they are investigating, you know, what business impact does it have with it? So, you know, these are things that, you know, really accelerate how investigations, how, you know, how things work in a very fast-paced SOC environment. So, and you know, technologies are out there, platforms are out there to empower, you know, our day-to-day jobs. So, you know, Mr. Yen spoke about the SOAR technologies, or, you know, having some form of automation, which is, you know, really fantastic in a sense that, you know, if you are actually doing the field job, you will realize that a lot of the time, I would say a good 50% of the time when you're doing investigation, it's all spent on, you know, getting information from various different sources and piecing them up together in an essay. So if we can automate a lot of this, you know, I would say contextual enrichment, information enrichment to the whole investigation process, you will really see that, you know, you are spending your analysts are spending lesser time on investigating incidents. And from a, you know, leader perspective, you actually do not need so many different, you do not need a huge quantity of analysts just to protect your gates, you know, across, you know, your network environment. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jolene.
Yeah.
At this point, Ryan, what's your take on this? How did your organization actually address the requirements with speed, with the agility that is required, and at the same time, how were you able to help out your customers in the challenges that they are encountering right now?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Actually, Qualys has been in the business for 21 years now, and we were built in the cloud or on the cloud. So all of our technology is based out of the best technology out there. You know, we're actually pushing the limits of Kafka, Elasticsearch. You know, where we're talking to these guys, and we're telling them, you know, we need more bandwidth, more power from your technology. So all of these back-end tools we actually use so that we can help scale. And to answer your question, how do we help our customers? We do employ all these best practices like DevSecOps, you know, as our own practices internally. And a lot of our customers for the last 20 years, you know, told us about what they want and what they need in their organization before even the pandemic occurred. And so all of our tools are actually ready to be, you know, for zero trust, for ransomware. And in fact, Qualys, it's one of the few companies, if there is others, you know, that provides free inventory of all your assets. So I've been talking about visibility. With Qualys, you get it for free, you know. And aside from that, the ability to have intelligence and appreciate Sir Ian providing that concept of having threat correlation. You know, we are a platform where all the data comes into one place in the cloud where it's getting crunched. All this intelligence, artificial intelligence, big data analysis. So we are actually way ahead of knowing what will be the next type of attacks. On top of that, we also employ the services of very, you know, big threat intel providers, not just our own, based out of vulnerabilities, but there are threat intels that we subscribe to as well, and we share that to, you know, among all of our customers. So one, if you are a small customer or a big customer, you get to experience, you know, the Qualys experience. And so just to end that note, Qualys early this month, or actually it's already November, but early October, we announced a free ransomware risk assessment service. Again, another free service from Qualys. You just have to register, you know, and get it for 60 days. And once you have an inventory of all your assets and have Qualys identify the risk that you may be exposed to in terms of ransomware, you get it for 60 days. So it's a lot of things that you can do in that 2-month period to make sure that you are aware that you are probably or perhaps already exposed to this risk. So I'll send the link on that later on the chat group so that everybody could register and take advantage of it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ryan. That's an interesting point. Actually, when we talk about what's happening in the cloud, it's not something that's really new. It's something that's been there for quite some time. And I agree, there are a lot of things that aren't really changes. It's just that the circumstances change so that adoption of the cloud is actually more prevalent nowadays, right? So thank you once again. Ian, can I have your ideas? What can you say about this?
Yeah, I mean, speed and agility, are definitely things that we need to focus on because our adversaries are moving a lot faster today, right? In terms of how we respond, and not only do we have to respond, as an enterprise, we have to respond, as an industry collaboratively. I'll give you an example, of kind of the 9/11, right, of cybersecurity recently, which is SolarStorm. When SolarWinds got breached, all of us as a community collaborated and responded. Palo Alto specifically, were not impacted by it again because of our platform capabilities. Our XDR was able to protect our environment and protect our customers, but we immediately established, a rapid response assessment, for SolarWinds to both customers and non-customers alike for free. Right, per what Qualys is doing as well with ransomware, because I think it's key to understand that we are living in an ecosystem where we are more and more dependent, on digital technologies, and that we are all citizens, here in this digital world that we live in. So our mantra and our mandate as Palo Alto is to make tomorrow a safer place, right, and to be a partner of choice, obviously, but really we want to continue to protect the environment at large. And we want to collaborate, we want to engage, with folks that have the same mindset. And we want to give our customers solutions, right, to their pain points. So yeah, definitely in the area of speed and agility, the first key thing is leadership commitment, and we are, committed to it. Right. The second thing is definitely from a technology perspective. I've talked about SOAR and XOR, and I'm not going to belabor the point because Ms. Jolene made a great point that you can use automation to free up, wasted time that of our analysts doing mundane things. But I would take it one step further in terms of SOAR, and this is the concept, of a self-healing network, right? Again, pie in the sky, right? But we have all the building blocks, and the building block starts with the platform again, because if you don't have high fidelity in terms of your ability and accuracy of predicting whether something is not good or bad, right, then you can't actually automate on the back of that, right? So you need to first start with visibility, correct, but you need to start with high fidelity correlation. And so in the case of SolarWinds, again, you have an endpoint protection tool, right, that sees a malware. The malware calls back to a CNC. Your firewall now sees that. Now, your firewall knows it, your endpoint knows it, but do you know it? And you won't know it unless you correlate the threat. And when you correlate the threat, that's when you get high fidelity. And when you get high fidelity, then you can back in to automated response in a matter of real-time protection. Right? And that's kind of where we want to get to. Again, pie in the sky, but the building blocks is in the platform.
Wow. That's more than a mouthful for me, but there are a lot of things. I guess the most common thing that we have here is the idea that everything that's happening, everything that's going on has to be dealt with from a single point of view. And I heard that from Ian, I heard that from Ryan, and I've heard that from Jolene. And once we have a single view of all the risks, all the problems, all the issues that we're actually facing, then it becomes a little bit more manageable. It's not easy, but it becomes manageable. thank you very much for all your inputs. Thank you very much for all that you've shared. I hope our participants, our delegates, have had a chance to really absorb what you have shared with us, and I hope that they can actually they realize whatever needs they may have. And guys, whoever you, if you're listening to me right now, once you feel the need, you may please get in touch with our panelists here, and they're here to help you. Right, guys?
Of course.
Okay.
100%.
Guys, thank you. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Jolene. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wella?
All right, that was definitely a great strategic and resilience sharing we have in that discussion. So again, thank you very much, Mr. Jacinto, and our panelists this morning, Mr. T of Qualis, Mr. Lim of Palo Alto, and Ms. Lim of NetWitness through M Security. Now that the Isog Summit I Am Secure 2021 is near to end its month-long campaign, we are very much delighted to announce that through the support of our sponsors, we are able to raise enough funds to cover several community service activities after this summit. One of which is the Balik Eskwela program, wherein we will give out 100 dual SIM tablets with 500 Wi-Fi to support some primary and secondary schools who are struggling to sustain the new education requirement for online classes. And our beneficiaries are Batino Elementary School and Camp General Aguinaldo High School in Quezon City, President Diosdado Macapagal High School, and Gat Andres Bonifacio Elementary School, which are both at Taguig City. And we'll continue to provide scholarship grants to our bright students from Manila Science. And now joining our scholarship opportunity roster is Adamson University. And that doesn't end there. We also have another program, the eSecure. It is a bike helmet program for the hardworking security guards of Isog, Force Incorporated banks, and other institutions, including, of course, Land Bank, East West Bank, RCBC, PS Bank, Metro Bank, Cebuana Lulier, Veterans Bank, Citibank, China Bank, UCTB, and Acro Law. And yes, that is right. As you can see on the screen, we are giving out 200 Decathlon Rock Rider Mountain Bike Helmet ST500. This is ISOG's way of thanking those who physically secures them when they are in their premises. Without this physical security, the guardians of cyberspace will be at risk and won't be able to defend. You know what I'm talking about. All right, so again, thank you very much, everyone, for attending this webinar. And of course, congratulations to our first 100 registrants and attendees. Of course, the list will be provided at our LinkedIn event page, and our team will get in touch with all of our recipients very, very soon. And before we end this webinar series, we call everyone to continuously join and support ISOG's mission and vision. Together, let's secure the new Cybernorm.
As we live in an extraordinary time of accelerated change, there's a massive challenge filled with unparalleled opportunities fused with uncertainty. ISOG's purpose has now, more than ever, been significant. This 2021, a stronger cyber defense strategy is required to manage the onslaught of cyber threats and intrusion. We are at the era of constant re-engineering.
Launch. Full virtual. Copy. Secure.
As the guardians of cyberspace, let us be engaged, established, equipped, empowered. This October 8 to November 8, and join us in the longest cybersecurity campaign of the country. The longest cybersecurity campaign of the country is back this 2021. The great shift for this era needs Herculean efforts to pivot to the new enterprise reality. Together, let's secure the new Cybernorm. As we live in an extraordinary time of accelerated change, there's a massive challenge filled with unparalleled opportunities fused with uncertainty. Isog's purpose has now, more than ever, been significant. This 2021, a stronger cyber defense strategy is required to manage the onslaught of cyber threats and intrusion. We are at the era of constant re-engineering.
Launch. Full virtual. Copy. Secure.
As the guardians of cyberspace, let us be engaged, established, equipped, empowered. This October 8 to November 8, and join us in the longest cybersecurity campaign of the country. The longest cybersecurity campaign of the country is back this 2021. The great shift for this era needs Herculean efforts to pivot to the new enterprise reality. Together, let's secure the new Cybernorm.
All right, and just in case you missed it, I am back and very much delighted to announce that through the support of our sponsors, we are able to raise enough funds to cover several community service activities after this summit. Of course, one of which is the Balik Eskwela program, wherein we will give out 100 dual SIM tablets with 500 Wi-Fi. This is to support some primary and secondary schools who are struggling to sustain the new education requirement for online classes. And our beneficiaries are Batino Elementary School and Camp General Emilio Aguinaldo High School in Quezon City, President Justado Macapagal High School, and GAT Andres Bonifacio Elementary School, both at Taguig City. And we'll continue to provide scholarship grants to our bright students from Manila Science. And now joining our scholarship opportunity roster is none other than Adamson University. And that doesn't end there. We also have another program, the Isikyo. It is a bike helmet program for the hardworking security guards of Isog Force Incorporator banks and other institutions. These include Land Bank, East West Bank, RCBC, PS Bank, Metro Bank, Cebuana Luwili, Veterans Bank, Citibank, China Bank, UCPB, and Accra Law. And yes, that is right. As you can see on the screen right now, we are giving out 200 Decathlon Rock Rider mountain bike helmet SC500. This is ISOG's way of thanking those who physically secures them when they are in their premises. You know, without this physical security, the guardians of cyberspace will be at risk and won't be able to defend. So once again, thank you everyone for attending this webinar, and congratulations to our first 100 registrants. Of course, our list will be provided at our LinkedIn page, and our team will get in touch with all of our recipients very, very soon. All right, and before we end this program, we call everyone to continuously join and support ISOG's mission and vision. Together, let us secure the new Cybernorm.
As we live in an extraordinary time of accelerated change, there's a massive challenge filled with unparalleled opportunities fused with uncertainty. ISOG's purpose has now, more than ever, been significant. This 2021, a stronger cyber defense strategy is required to manage the onslaught of cyber threats and intrusion. We are at the era of constant re-engineering.
Launch. Full virtual. Copy. Secure.
As the guardians of cyberspace, let us be engaged, established, equipped, empowered. This October 8 to November 8, and join us in the longest cybersecurity campaign of the country. The longest cybersecurity campaign of the country is back this 2021. The great shift for this era needs Herculean efforts to pivot to the new enterprise reality. Together, let's secure the new Cybernorm. As we live in an extraordinary time of accelerated change, there's a massive challenge filled with unparalleled opportunities fused with uncertainty. Isog's purpose has now, more than ever, been significant. This 2021, a stronger cyber defense strategy is required to manage the onslaught of cyber threats and intrusion. We are at the era of constant re-engineering.
Launch. Full virtual. Copy. Secure.
As the guardians of cyberspace, let us be engaged, established, equipped, empowered. This October 8 to November 8, and join us in the longest cybersecurity campaign of the country. The longest cybersecurity campaign of the country is back this 2021. The great shift for this era needs Herculean efforts to pivot to the new enterprise reality. Together, let's secure the new Cybernorm.